Hello everybody and welcome to the most anticipated and currently most downloaded city builder, if not strategy game, actually more broadly on Steam for this year. It's Anno 117 PAX Romana, and the timer is already ticking. This is of course the first Anno game that we've had in a very long time, after what was frankly a super successful Anno 1800. Now we're in the year 117. And I think we should just crack straight into this. This map here, with a nice river through the middle, this province, is LATIUM. And LATIUM is essentially Italy, right? It's Rome. This is the Roman-inspired province for this game. There's also another one that we'll also take a look at. It's a Great Britain sort of Celtic-inspired territory. It has its own unique technologies and deities and all sorts of things. Our first task, should we choose to accept it, is to get wood. Like in a lot of these games, we're going to need a woodcutter and a sawmill. Here you can see the production chains. This will be quite familiar to you if you've played an Anno game before, though of course the UI around it, love it or hate it, is a little different. Speaking of which, I've seen so far fairly mixed reviews for at least this version of the game. This is of course a very early access of an early access version, because this is the demo. Available September 2 through September 16. So we've got about 2 weeks to check it out. And it's limited in quite a few ways. We'll probably find those as we move through. Okay, so we have some little and in some cases not so little dudes down here chopping the wood. Time to complete the supply chain. You can see there's an area of effect. I don't actually want to plow over these trees, but I probably want to keep things relatively close together. We'll just plop that down there for now, because time is of the essence. Road building in Anno 117 PAX Romana takes a slight shift. As you can see, did somebody say curved roads in an Anno game? Yes, they did. We can now curve them out, and in my limited experience so far with this game, it works pretty well, but not always well. I'll be curious to see if this version, again, this quite temporary and certainly early access demo version, works any differently. We'll have these characters pop up throughout. For the most part, because of the limits of this version of the game, we're not really going to get into them much. I believe combat is off. I think diplomacy is therefore largely off as well. We've got our basics, but these guys are going to need both a warehouse building to store their goods and also probably somewhere to live. So let's just slap a warehouse building down right next door. We're going for German efficiency over German architecture in this case, and maybe get a kind of a main road. This building appears to not have a road. Please allow me. There's 4. Oh, it's just not connected to a trading post actually. Never mind. I can probably build off this to complete these first houses though. So let's do that. Actually engage in some no way city building. Oh, the curve does work quite well. Keep it roughly equidistant. Of course, ancient Roman cities famous for their grid-like layouts and patterns. Oy vey. We have a few tools we can muck around with down the bottom here as well, like a demolish tool. Should that extra road just be too much for our eyeballs. Also, by the looks of things, have a few quick build options down the bottom. Or that's really gonna frustrate people. We'll make it a double road. Main roads should always be double roads. Road tool seems pretty smooth there. Then we can get the little houses just slotted off, maybe down here. Let's have a look. Sure. A little bit of weird flipping action going on, but that works. Actually, they fit in very well. Again, in sort of a trade-off between beautiful architecture and efficiency, I think I'll just plop in a little cluster of 10 so that we can move on with our next task. The Libertas residents will need basically, actually every population group in this game. We are, in this build, limited to the first 2 types. They'll have needs. Some of them are required, and others are a little bit more optional. The needs will also effectively kind of introduce to us a way of introducing more advanced supply chains, extra goods. So you can see here the game is prompting me, wham bam, thank you ma'am, to produce some new stuff. And frankly, it's pretty basic goods, right? Sardines will increase +1 to the population and our income, which is something that is, in my experience, quite hard to get into the green in this game. And then we have porridge. Porridge is not so good at making money, go figure, but pretty good, in fact twice as good, by the looks, at attracting population. Don't show me this again, totally fine. Right, so let's fulfill both of these needs. We'll start by fishing. A couple of river slots, I don't think we can fish in those though. So we'll get them down here, tuck them right off to one side as far as we can, though there's a little bit of an annoying kind of popping up and down going on there. So you know what? We'll squeeze a few in like that. 3 is likely overkill, but my thinking is people are less likely to complain about having too many fish, too much sardine. Porridge will be a little bit more intricate because we're going to need to both farm the oats as well as cook the porridge. So it works quite similarly, if you will, to the wood and lumber camps. We can also see a zone of effect. Some buildings in this game have a radius, others seem to connect to the roads, so our road efficiency will matter a little bit here too. Terrain, actual fertility doesn't seem to matter at all, so let's get this nice and close by. We'll just slap down one oat farm, I think, and then we get to use even more little chunky city building action like this to plot out exactly where we want to grow the oats. I think it makes sense to bring it all together and keep it very routine, but does that make me incredibly boring? I can't help but wonder, should I do something goofy and stretch out like this just to show off the flexibility that we have? You know what, maybe not. We'll cram that out to its full 78, 79, 80, you could see down the bottom right there, and there it is. It's done. Old oat farmer Bill down the bottom here is very pleased. Let's get a porridge kitchen, slap it in right next door so people really don't have to go far at all, and residents or other parties may seek an audience with me. Select them to interact with them, alright? It's old farmer Bill, the Libertus. A Libertus, just a nameless Libertus passes me by. These are our lowest tier, if you will, for populations. I think there are 5 in total, but I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me on that. Either way, in this build, we'll only have access to 2 of them. What do we got here? Seize his goods. I'll become more of a tyrant. Buy his supply. It'll cost me $400. Or some decisions have no cost or negative consequence. Just wish him well. Well, minus 50 happiness for an hour on all islands? We're just going to wish him well. Mainly because you'll notice there is a remaining time ticking up here, and if I pause the game, that remaining time doesn't change. So every moment that you spend going to feed your cat or refilling your cup of coffee is wasted. Currently in this demo build, frustratingly, we're limited to just an hour. Literally just an hour of playtime. Doesn't matter again if it's paused or not. So we need to do as much as possible within that. The good news is you can play as many saves as you like, you can load up another one, play on the other map, play a more, sort of ancient Britain, Celtic playthrough, but you're going to have to start from the start every time. Oh, another request. Here's a discussion around needs. I'm going to cut this guy off because I've kind of already told you about it. Things like the sardines and the fish will add to the needs of our people. Needs become more complex as we level up and get access to extra tiers. The, what are they called? There's a vaguely derogatory name for the second tier, and it escapes me at the minute. Apologies. Regular viewers might notice a little bit under the weather for this recording. Just marginally. Construction materials, I should probably double down on this as well, actually. Let's get a second lumber yard. Ooh, the productive capacity is not great because it's very far away from the trees. I'm assuming we'll be able to replant these later, but for now, let's smash a diagonal road and get a pretty good 95% one up there. Nice. And what is this? There's a random porridge kitchen out here. Did I do that? I didn't entirely mean to do that. Okay, sure. Yeah, no, actually, you know what? It's gone. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that. Now, you'll notice there are little dudes walking around down here, just wandering about, carrying some very heavy things. I can, of course, speed up the in-game time. This shouldn't affect our overall timer, because the normal time doesn't, and indeed it does not, right? So we could play on extra speed and try and push through as much of the economy as we can. Defeats the purpose a little bit of a beautiful city builder like this, but nonetheless, that's an option. Reach 100% public service needs for your residents. Alright, so that's our next task. The game will likely steer us through a lot of these early needs. Now we have markets, somewhere for people to gather and sell their wares, as you can hear, in order to meet people's needs. Our wonderful advisor filling us in a little bit there. We also have some stats over on the right-hand side. Area of effect, +1 to population, +1 to income. That is massive, because we are, by the looks of things, hemorrhaging cash at the minute. Absolutely hemorrhaging cash. And maybe we can give everybody a little bit of a boost by placing it fairly close. The zone's actually pretty generous. I could place down maybe an extra road, somewhat funnily cutting through there, and then we'll bring a straight one in, and then cut it down like that. So it'll also act as a little bit of a shortcut for these dudes to get back home. Alright, with that vaguely convincing sounding idea in place, let's get this down. Maybe we can get a second lot of residential buildings in over here. And we also have a tavern. This will be good for their happiness, but cost me even more money, so I need to be careful. This one seems to have a much closer range, so if I'm going to cluster houses in, they're going to want to be actually quite close to the tavern. We can just slot it within range of the marketplace, and everything fits within a nice sort of, turn the speed up a little bit there, a nice sort of broadly efficient zone. What does this guy want? Each need that you fulfill per residence increases different attributes. The most important ones are income and population. Oh yes they are. But there are also these needs, and we should check in on those needs. Very good. Right, as we fulfill the needs, we'll be able to upgrade them. I see a tutorial come along. If we upgrade a residence, we also need to meet their fashion needs, and then we should be able to move through to the second tier of population. So let's very quickly take a look at these two new supply chains. We have hemp farms and spinners to turn them into clothes, and then we have sheep farms and an artisanal studio. Okay, right, so by meeting these needs, we can not only sort of reach our way through the game, but also actually upgrade the existing buildings we have, add more to them, upgrade the populations to reach that next level. Another thing that I've found to be very important in this game is to build more people than you think you'll ever want or need. So let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more houses. Actually, you know what? Maybe next to this as well. If I leave space for a farm, maybe cram in a couple there. We'll leave the 5 for now. Let's focus on the fashion needs. Get the hemp farm down there. Click on it. And then squeeze in the tiles in and around. Fill in this ugly gap I left last time. Nice. It looks a little bit odd, but it'll do. And we could actually stretch out into this land, which will be hard to use without extra roads. And it's just gonna work. Oh boy, it looks ugly, but it works. Very good. Get the spinner down. Here again, the range is going to be important. We want to try and have as many people and amenities within range, and it just fits within the marketplace. So that'll do. Many production buildings affect attributes of nearby ones. Sometimes, of course, these can be bad, right? If we move our way through to the more pollutive, the more destructive buildings, like this one that the game is teasing here, actually we want it away from people because it will be bad for health, bad for the population, or potentially the money making. One thing that I have also found to be a little bit missing sometimes is to figure out exactly what I need here. So island population is at 96, a lot of porridge is meeting that need, okay? It's simple people, simple demands. Island happiness at the moment, pretty good. But could use a little bit of work, I think. How are we doing on this supply chain? Starting up. We can see the processing time, productivity, and current process down there. I could potentially consider spinning up an extra farm too. The same thing that I did with the trees, but on steroids for some of these other goods. And jumping back in, the needs have been met. The next farm is done. The game would now like to tell me all about upgrading residences, but I'm just going to show you it instead. Click this little arrow, and there we go. Plebs. Oh, that was the word I was trying to think of before. Plebeian residences. The second tier, and the second tier of population available in this game. Here you can see us sort of out here partying away. Oh, in fact, it's a quest. These guys would like to go and party. I'm going to say no. I think we've honestly got a lot of work to do here, and that's insane. All right. Productions, everything going on, it's looking good. Can now look at the plebes. They would like bread, not just oats. And some, a fishy condiment. sure to put a smile on people's faces. Right, so they're a little bit more civilized, a little bit more sophisticated. We do still need to work on the fashion, so sheep and the little artisan studio that goes with them might be a good idea. Get a little sheep farm out on the hinterland, potentially. Maybe out this way, but it's going to start to encroach on that productivity if I get too close. Looks like I can squeeze it out there, though. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Oh yes, okay, cool. We get some sheepfolds out behind these people's homes. Nice little aesthetic touch. And then the artisan studio can squeeze in across the road as well. Talk about efficiency. Okay, that's the basic dudes done, and their supply chain's completely finished. But you'll notice down the bottom here now, I have some more basic materials, right? We've got all this stuff going, oh my goodness, the UI. We've got all this stuff going on in the advanced constructions. So we have City Watch, many City Watches to fight fires, diseases. We have our villa, which is sort of our customizable building, our personal building. And two more things. Charcoal, which actually is a construction material that we're going to need to combine with clay to get the tilers. So slightly more advanced supply chain that begins with clay pits. Now these clay pits need to be placed in certain spots, a little further away from where we're already set up, but not the end of the world. They just kind of snap on like that. And I feel like one should be enough. We're going to need some plebs and some tilers for them to work in. And the tiler, as you can see, increases fire risk. Fire safety, -2. Something to keep in mind. For now, let's use this... Ugh. That's a horrendous looking road. Let's use the road tool. Hook up a little bit of extra road there. I'm not going to make that intersection because that will house... Actually, yes we can. Double road out to the clay pit and double road along the water's edge. It works. It works except for that little patch of grass there. How dare you? How dare you? Okay. So this building is going to need a warehouse in range, is the first issue. We could potentially have it probably as far away from that last one as possible. Here's a natural intersection that I've accidentally plopped down. So that's a reasonable spot for that. We're going to need some pleb houses, as well as, by the looks, what have we got? Wheat goes to grain mill, goes to bakery, and that needs a charcoal burner. And this one needs a scombers shack? That's a new word for me. And some salt ponds. Okay. Slightly more advanced, and it's all going to come back to the charcoal burner at the end of the day. So it counts as a forest camp, produces fuel used by some production buildings. It's very bad for health and fire safety. So I want to try and tuck it actually well away, like way away. Let's get a road out into the middle of nowhere, maybe stretch it up by this hill. I see a mountain slot as well as a river slot, so we could do a little bit more building up this way. Let's click the charcoal burner and get one down, preferably within range of that warehouse, but not too close to much else. So kind of there-ish. Or a little bit more foresty out here. Yeah, actually, that's quite good. Let's do that. Marginally better range. The forested area is 96 out of 120. Pretty good. Okay, if I hit unpause, I'm not sure why I paused, because the timer carries on regardless. Which does speak to a certain extent to the frustration of only having an hour to play it. I noticed the Steam reviews were very much, why did you only give me an hour to play a game that clearly, really desperately wants more than just an hour? And I get ya. Let's get the tiler down before I gas bag away all of our playtime. Slap that down there. Easily within range. There's a warehouse building. Kind of got everything we need. Looking at it, looking at that positioning though, I feel I might need to just stretch it slightly closer to everything else. We'll try and, whoops, I've still got my hand out. We'll try and get it as far away from these dudes as we can. Currently, island health is not good. But, you know, we can look past that. Island fire safety also not good, but people are generally happy. The income is actually not all that bad, but on balance, there's a lot of expense cost going on, because we are, of course, not the ultimate emperor, but a governor to the emperor. How do I increase my workforce? To increase your workforce, you can increase your population by building houses. Understood. Produce 3 tiles, build my villa, and my workforce is low, so I need more buildings, and that I do. Either upgrading these existing populations and probably actually building a whole lot more of them. Let me ditch the hand. How do I ditch the hand? I click the hand again. Okay, so we're going to need to upgrade quite a few of these libs to plebs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll start with 10. 9, 10. And then let's build some extra basic houses. I don't want to get too close to Shitsville out here by the river. But I haven't left myself a lot of space. You know what? A couple of houses down by the docks strikes me as quite a fun idea. Let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down like that. And actually maybe some on the back of this farm, because I feel like the farms look better either when they're completely in the middle of nowhere or vaguely urban. So we're going to call those ones vaguely urban. And we're just going to carry on through. Old Baldy has another quest. A woman is escorted into my presence. She's guilty of violating the law of majesty, claiming to be a goddess gathering followers. Interesting. So, increase island happiness for rest of game. Well, dependent on if that duration is the same as my timer, which it actually may not be. This one will increase my reputation, and the Emperor will favour this decision, as I was starting to talk about before. We're just a governor, and we do have politics to consider. Politics with people that we'll trade with, again in the broader version of this game, fight with, as well as the Emperor. How do we want to deal with him? In the shadows, up front, lots of decision making. The Emperor also favours this decision, but it will reduce island happiness if I just chop off her head, or we can exile her and her followers, which will have no impact. Interesting. This one costs 10,000, but will give me 100 knowledge at the cost of belief. Pay her to renounce her divinity. Kind of the meme option. I'm going to go for it. Sure. Current reputation 5, reputation change +5, and we've become smarter but far less pious. I don't know if that was a good idea looking at this massively negative denarii count. What should I do? Reduce expenses or increase income? An island belief has now surged to -100. Let's have a look at what this actually looks like, as civic research is now available. Oh yes, and there's exploration to do. Baldy is right, actually. There's a heck of a lot to be on with all of a sudden, now that we've stretched into the 2nd tier. I can get a reasonable breakdown of goods, supply chains, cost, potential. Interesting stuff. And the day-night cycle kicks in, which I could turn off, could manually change. For this first playthrough, I think we'll leave it as is. I can't believe that belief is so bad. Oh, okay, let's construct some serious buildings. First up, the game has been prompting me to build a villa for a very long time. This is my place. It'll cost me $1,000, so affording it is not going to be easy. But here's this almost perfectly sized diagonal road for it, you might think. You would be wrong! This puppy's going to have add-ons that are going to make it a little bit bigger, a little bit wider. So actually, this road probably needs to do something like... Oh, that's ugly, but something like this. Right next to some kilns. Exactly where I want to live. Yes. Okay, first step. Let's get the villa down. Bam. Next step. There were a few new City Watch buildings, right? Vigils, fights fires across the city. Seems like a really great idea, and also seems like a service that I might look to live next door to. So let's cram it down roughly within range of everything there. City Watch, which increases happiness within its area of effect. Cram that down across the way. And this looks to be my medical building, no? Yes, for extra health. Okay, cool. Has quite a range too. Spam that down there. Now, don't have a lot of cash to do so. You do not have enough materials, potentially, either. So the tiles that we're working on producing, as we move into our tier 2, will also make quite a difference here. Have a treaty with a rival, explore a province, build some wader residences, or some Libertus residences. Right, so of course in our case, we're going to go for the Libertus. Could probably just spam those down straight away too. Maybe we get a new subdivision, or maybe I lazily extend this one out. Regular viewers will know the preferred option here. I think an extra road in along like that's going to look decent enough, though. So we'll get that in. 1, 2, 3 extra houses. 4, 5, 6, 7 extra houses. Population-wise, I keep going to close that and it will not go away. Population-wise, we've just increased to a small town, which is another great upgrade for us. Very good. Quests are coming in thick and fast. Explore the province to discover a trader and have a trade treaty. Okay, so we did start with a boat, and I completely ignored this Unbound Titan flagship. So let's start sailing out across the way a little bit. I could probably just click somewhere on the map and send it off too. Do we have auto explore or anything extra to do? Create trade route, send ship to island, end current action. Patrol, escort, destroy, or sell. Oh, okay. Well, the extra options didn't matter at all, for we've found really a great name. Respectful meeting or mock his shabby clothes. We look quite smug. Let's mock his shabby clothes. We look very smug, actually. He notes my discourtesy. I mean, suit yourself. His island looks pretty reasonable. Got a nice little get up here. Went for the efficiency build, except for the farms. Oh, I like what he's done out here too. Yeah, it's quite sweet looking. Part of being a good governor is learning how to deal with rivals. Yes, yes, yes. All right, Jeeves. What have we got? Now that I've got the materials, we can hit construct on these blueprints that we'd place down. If you don't have the materials to build a building, it'll do that little blueprint thing for you, and I think that that looks pretty good. I think it could look a little bit better with some decorations, though. Oh, hold that thought. Your realm faces bankruptcy. Urgent aid from the Emperor. Hey, Sovereign Ruler, it's me, Gnaeus Firmius Calidus. Yeah, we accept the deal. Reputation, current reputation 5. He'll lose -10. Okay, so this whole charade has ultimately not been worth my time, but now we've got the money that we can burn through at lightning pace. Whew. What I was going to say before we were rudely interrupted by that financial bailout is there are a lot of really cool aesthetic options, and it's a real shame that the demo, because again, this is of course the demo, ooh, that was a bit glitchy, is of course the demo build of this game, is only limited to an hour of playtime, excluding pause, because a lot of the cool things, I think anyway, see look, here's a big patch that Anno does with this new build, is not just focus on aesthetics, but also ensure that these have a role. They're not just trees. They, of course, cost a little bit of money, something to bear in mind, but more importantly, they add to the aesthetic prestige, the ornaments, the appeal, potentially, if you will. Have some unique ones here as well, a community statue. Oh, looks brilliant. We'll get it across the road from my place. It's obviously a self-portrait because it looks like me and I made it myself, said every emperor ever. We could make it look nice with some bushes around the edge too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe a couple of trees. Do sun damage. Talking nonsense at that point. You get the idea though. We can spam these out really far and wide, or keep them close. This diagonalism though, might need a little bit of work, because I kind of just wanted a line off them. But instead I'm getting a lot of trees. Whew, that's a lot of trees. You know what, one by one will do me just fine. We can get little things like this down. I think it's pretty neat. There's a heck of a lot in here too. Like, I really do think that you could spend such a long time tweaking each and every little element, like, oh, maybe I want a fountain across the road. Maybe we'll turn it into a park, add some benches or hedges or something. A little bit of extra customization, though, again, around how these things fit with diagonals and straight lines could maybe be appreciated. We have a planning mode here, though, in a very prison architect-y vibe. I could place things down and figure out how they'll go once I'm happy with their design. Ooh, okay. Oh, you could really have some fun with this. That's pretty cool. And then I turn off planning mode, and I can fill in the blanks here reasonably well, though it looks like it works better if I kind of do it one at a time. Hey, that was pretty good, though. I'll take it. What am I designing, you might wonder? Honestly, I don't know. Just something cool to sit across from my place. It's the Emperor's Villa, and it needs to look cool. And probably everybody should see it as well, so let's get a couple of big torches either side. hilariously... Yeah, that'll do. If I click on the actual building itself, instead of boring you with these aesthetic designs, go away. There we go. You'll notice there's actually quite a lot to it. Militia-wise, we could train some dudes. Let's do it. Let's get some reserve archers and cavalry and really everything. Welcome, Governor, to Prestige! Woohoo! This is, I think, actually due to my units being ready rather than me placing down a whole load of stuff. Right, so the more we increase our prestige, the more we can increase the number of guest houses you can place. They can be placed anywhere and accommodate more specialists. Villas have specialist slots, which increase the number of slots I have in my villa for specialists. Gaining prestige allows you to provide more lodging guests, and island prestige impacts my diplomacy and my villa by unlocking more options for optimization. Okay. So far, there doesn't really seem to be a lot there. Let's train more dudes. I cannot. Too poor. Baldy wants to basically teach me that there's, of course, a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing going on here. Encamp units to heal their hit points and decrease their maintenance costs and protect my villa. Walls and towers will keep invaders at bay. Ah, cool. So we can march these guys to an encampment if we want to reduce their maintenance costs overall. Jumping across here to Tarragon, I feel like we need to talk to this guy a little bit. Here's my diplomacy tab. What can we get with him? Character difficulty, alliance effects, army power. He's got nothing. It's time to roll him. Quickly, roll him now. Let's enter negotiations. Take a loan, offer a gift, non-aggression, trade treaty. He's really reluctant to do so because of insignificance, a lack of devotion, no fleet, and no business ties. Right. So I need to increase my prestige, increase my devotion, and maybe have a fleet. Maybe I can avoid some of these. The unfavorable impression at the start probably didn't help either. Let's send him a gift to make up for it. The Emperor's just given me some money, so we'll send him a small gift, and then we'll take it back as a loan. Sure, that'll do. Work on some relationships. Explore the province to discover a trader I still have not done. It's difficult, of course, because this is absolutely a race against the clock. And I kind of just have to choose one priority or another, which is why I'm not so worried about losing money constantly, because actually we should be okay. Speaking of okay, we've produced an okay number of tiles, quite a lot of charcoal. That says to me we could probably get another clay pit down over there. Maybe even another tiler. There are two gentlemen here to see me, so I've got a lot to do and not enough time to do it. Let's continue this, I was going to say seaside, riverside road over to that. Put down a little fire thing just so, you know, people don't get lost along the way. And get the second tiler down out the back of my place. It's hideous, but it works. I think we're probably also going to need to upgrade at least a couple more of the residential buildings. Maybe place a couple more too, actually. Get me out of this, please. No? Ah, this wheel will do, actually. Couple more residences down. Oh, they could squeeze in there, which would be very satisfying, but they wouldn't have any road access. So we'll just plop them down out there. And then I think I want to upgrade these ones in the center of town, because I know that they're going to have some of their needs met. Could downgrade them, but no. Let's try and also meet their bread and garum needs. So, supply chains, build, plebs, bread. We're definitely going to need more wheat farms. Let's get one out somewhere that kind of doesn't matter so much. This is still within range of a warehouse. Plop it out the back of my place. It'll help to increase the aesthetic appeal of the small town at this point as well. I do need to leave space for villa upgrades, and the wheat might be a little bit close, but we can always come back later and fix that up. It's not actually the end of the world. And 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ugh. 6, 7, 8. How is that still counting up? Okay, there we go. It's done. Right. Grain mill. Oh, goodness. We are really running out of water spots, though there is one out this way. It's going to make everything pretty inefficient. But we're going to need it. So let's grab a road, try and stretch it out along the water's edge, and down like that. This house, frustratingly, was placed just shy of where it needed to be. Very good. Get a little intersection in there so these people can access the water a little bit faster. And I think that spot would look good with a couple of trees in it, actually. I don't know about you, but I feel like it's tree placing time. Just a couple. 1, 2, 3, maybe one there as well. Try and make every little bit not look, you know, weird. Fill in a few bushes in the back. These need to autocorrect to the right orientation. Hopefully that'll come in a non-early access version. Yeah, it looks okay. Looks okay. All right, that's one of the needs for these plebs. 13 minutes left on the clock. I'm watching it as closely as you are, I promise. All right, next up, they want their fishy condiment. Ugh. Sure to put a smile on people's faces. What do they need for that? Mackerel and salt. All right, well, the mackerel will go down just out here. Here's a spot I prepared earlier. And the salt ponds also need access to the fresh water. This is going to fill up very quickly. Get the extra road down and out. This jankiness is a little bit frustrating, but it's probably okay. Some minor UI improvements could help. Again, perhaps just with the auto orientation. Though my early impression here is that it works better, though this isn't a great example, but it tends to work better with the roads than it does with the buildings and actually with the decorations too. Either way, one more building. This one is an interesting double whammy. It's going to really hurt people's happiness, but we're going to make money off them for everyone that's within range. Which probably means I don't actually mind it stretching across quite a few people. Could place multiple of them, of course. That would increase the yield there and make it all that better. I don't think I will just yet. Advisors are screaming at me because I'm short of plebs. And more plebs means I'm going to need more houses overall. So let's place down, let's place down some more out here. This was meant to be a new area, so let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's looking pretty good. Fairly orderly, maybe a little bit too orderly, but pretty good. Should then be able to increase the quality, dare I say? What do they call it? Nothing, just upgrade. We'll upgrade the residents into the next type all around this field, because who wouldn't want to live next to a whole load of wheat? Cool. Population-wise now, as you can see up the top here, just to the left of our overview, we are just 2 plebeians short of a dozen. 1, 2. There we go. Alright, everything's pretty good. I missed the timed quest, but a Gemini in the rough, the Roman Imperium, even, is keen to support its governors. Funds were put forward to hire blah blah blah. Let's speak to the person with the best name first, Julius Lupus. Nearby warehouses require 50% workforce and have 10% increased loading speed. Require 50% upkeep cost reduction, but increase the loading speed. Okay, so Gaius will decrease the cost. And I think decreasing the cost is a good thing. The game spells it out for me here anyway. Okay, let's do the minus 10% cost, but a slightly longer speed. Oh, flip a coin. Oh no, there was a gamble option. Next time, I'll take the gamble option, I promise. Supply issues. Not so much on the timber side of things, but it looks like the sardines. Man, these people really do love their sardines. Goodness. Faith gain and religious gain buildings I'm yet to have placed as well. Speaking of, though, here they are. Just in the nick of time. Alright, let's get down the first one, the sanctuary. Sanctuary will increase happiness and, crucially, belief. And belief is something we're super short on. And then the next one will add knowledge to nearby people. And so maybe it's a good thing that there's a new district popping up over here. Because what I can do is get a road that goes out the back of these houses and specifically caters just to, that tree is going to be really in the way, just caters to these new buildings. So, sanctuary, my goodness, that is big. And the nerd building is actually a little smaller. We'll start with the sanctuary because we don't have a lot of belief in this town. This town's very short of belief. Yes, thank you, land unit order. Needs and attributes. I'll tell you what it does need. A freaking road. There we go. Maybe another one stretching out from up this way somewhere in the future as well. But for now, it can just be tucked in along the back there. Building roads around all sides, while it may have been accidental, might not be the end of the world. We could squeeze in extra houses and also potentially just chuck the research building back here too. The radius isn't great, but it kind of works. I'll do it there. And then that road that I was talking about before can stretch off on an angle like that, still leaving the villa plenty of space and connecting it up for the rest of these people. It kind of works, right? It kind of works. I am missing some material by the looks, though. What are we missing for that? Oh my goodness, that is just one tile. Okay, so the tile will come with time. Let me crank time up a little bit. Let's have a look at the religious building. No patron yet, because I'm actually, by the looks, working my way through that minus 100 belief. And because that penalty will hang around, I'm not even going to be able to get the patron unless I build more people, right? If we can get more faith next to this thing, like so. Oops, that one was a bit wonky. Oh goodness, maybe another road. Yep, squeeze one up like that. Okay, more residences on that side, please. 1, 2, 3. We could turn it into a real grid back here. Why not? A little bit glitchy, but it worked. Squeeze it in up there. Connect it up to those guys as well. And this is a real beating heart, a real civic center for my fledgling town. Let me see if I can cram out. Actually, you know what? Road goes down like that, across like that. 1, 2, 3, across like that. It's the greatest grid you've ever seen. 1 through there. Very good. This one I've frustratingly made slightly too big, but we're going to have to ignore that because time is truly of the essence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just all the way along. Here we go. If you make the wrong decision, you too can be saved by spamming out as many houses as possible to take advantage of the radius impact, the area of effect. It's time to choose a patron god. Is it? Or is it? Oh no. I seem to have broken LATIUM. Yes. Oh, oh, there we go. Okay, a little escape fixed it. Alright, back to the task at hand. Choosing a patron god for my cities. Control R. Can also access this. I think something's gone quite wrong with that. More houses, did somebody say? It's this, I think, actually. Demolish that and try and place down the nerd building again. Okay, cool. We've got that down straight away this time. And now, as the game is suggesting, we can, right at the end, also have a look at the research tree, which has loaded correctly. Brilliant. Split across 3 categories: economy, civic, and military. It's had a little bit of a glow up since the last time I saw it, too. On the military side, we could get slingers, castra, rammed earth for fences in the middle here, hospitality, market forces, warehouses, etc. Warehouse organization. How very dull. Stone roads would look great, depots. I mean, obviously I want all of the stuff. We're not really going to get to try much of it. Faith-wise, the patron screen is now loading as well. I believe that the patrons are unique to where you're playing. So Albion's sort of Celtic, Great Britain, British ones will be different to my ones here. Neptune, Lord of the Waves. Increased production of sardines, cockles, and garum. Mars is good for weapons, iron, leather, all of these strong things. And he is locked. I need to discover some extra cults. Right, okay. So you'd need to do actually quite a bit of research, or at least a little bit of early research, before you can get through to this next slab of civic unlocks. So it's probably not going to be all that possible in these early stages. How many do we have in total? Quite a few. That one looks extraordinarily Celtic. Yep. Potentially another reason why it could be locked. Ceres is good for food, and I don't have a lot of time to take advantage of this. There are both local and global effects. Each island's patron impacts the global score, and we can see that currently I'm the only one contributing to said global score, but in a larger game with greater diplomacy and combat enabled, I'm sure that that would be a little more obvious. Oh, Baldy has perhaps one more thing to say. The crowd falls silent as I ascend on the rostrum of the public square, a living symbol of the eternal city. We can gain belief for knowledge, gain knowledge for belief, lose happiness and fire safety, but gain some reputation. There's quite a few impacts here, actually. We've just got faith, so let's lean into faith a little bit more. Huzzah! I've cancelled out what I did last time. Cool. series' impact on the population of the island is surging. We've also just reached a new milestone. And thank you for playing. That's the end of the demo. Oh my goodness. Congratulations, Governor. You have reached the end of the demo. We hope you've enjoyed this first glance at Anno 117 PAX Romana. Until we meet again. Oh man. And that's it. No way. Oh, it has taken me back to the start and booted me out. There is no way to save a game. So if you start playing one during this demo, you have to keep playing it. And then the only other limit is that 1 hour limit that we've very much just ran into. Yikes. I'd quite like to have a look at Albion as well, though. Up the top left here, the game talks a little bit about how this is a more challenging experience, more aggressive raiders. Probably not an issue for this build, but something to keep in mind. The marshes are the unique land mechanic, and we have some technologies and as well as some faiths, traditions, religions, etc. that we can experiment here with too. I've read through the dev diaries, you know, the trailers, that kind of thing, and it seems to me that the marsh is a big thing, as well as the overall very much British climate, right? Not a lot has changed since ancient times there. Let's have a look and see how different the map actually looks. Oh, pretty cool. Okay. Obviously exact same starting position. Archers ready to fire at just about anything that might fly by. What does it look like zoomed out? Old Baldy's still here. And this is clearly our marshland. Marsh slots as our unique slots. That's cool. Very flavoursome, in fact, as I jankily pan around here. Oh, neat. However, as we talked about just before for the first part of this video, time is of the essence, and we are strictly timed. So, this time around, I can probably get things started a little quicker, and you might not be interested in watching me do it. Maybe you're more interested in the highlights for Albion. So, let me very quickly speed through. Trading post, of course, down here by the water's edge. Let's get woodcutters and warehouses. We know the warehouse needs to be roughly at the center of the action. And we want, this time, not liberti, but waders, which really suits the marshy theme, doesn't it? And as you can see, they have their own marshy little houses as well. Oh, that is lovely. Let's just spam them out. Famously, of course, living in a grid-like pattern ever since ancient times. Lovely. First residents. Time to provide some food. They have their own unique food and resources too. What have we got? Cockle pickers and eel grabbers. That's awesome. This is actually really cool. Okay, so cockles, gonna need those slots. Eel grabbers, though, what do they need? What, marsh slots? No slot. Just needs to be placed in the marshland by the looks. Interesting. I see a little red square next to it, though. Let's just see what happens. Okay, right, so it sort of places down the resource deposit effectively. And it's placing down the resource deposit only on marshland tiles. Whereas the cockle is essentially just sardines, right? I'm imagining there's not going to be much of a difference there. Although maybe I guess the post-processing differences might be realized. All right, more waiters. I learned my lesson from last time that we're going to need to absolutely spam out these guys. Let's place them in a grid-like pattern. Let's also get a main road because I love a main road. Not sure if making it too wide actually really does anything. I mean, the populations obviously move along the roads, and the buildings, of course, can be based on the roads if they're not area of effect. Seems to be a little bit of difference going on depending on what the yield is and what the need is, but hey, that looks good enough to me. We could even put in a little roundabout. Right, let's get our road out to the eels. Marshland looks to build planks straight away. Lovely touch. Because of course we're going to need to be able to trade these. So, actually, you know what? Let's just connect it straight out. Making absolutely not the best use of Anno's curved roads, but that's good enough. Cool. Bring the boardwalk all the way out to the water's edge. Mainly just because it looks nice. Look at that. Waterfronts in a city builder game before release? What is this? What is this? Okay, construction-wise, how we doing? Looks like we have a quest. It's just a tutorial, in fact. This does not have a warehouse in range, so let's spam one of those down. There you go. Maybe get a couple of waiters kind of out in the middle of nowhere as well. These are the more sort of rural lads. I mean, I say the middle of nowhere, they can go and pick eels all day. Very good. Alright, we have a couple of things to consider. There's a marshland tutorial, which I've completely skipped through. And here we have kind of the story-based one. Outcome, minus 50 happiness. We know this is not a good idea for the demo. Probably not worth it. 400 or wish him well. Let's wish him well. Good luck out there, bud. I literally want nothing to do with you and I cannot afford to take a big debuff again. Thank you very much. Okay, continuing with the idea of rapid and aggressive expansion. Let's turn the timer up to 3. I've got the basics down. Go 1, 2, 3, 4 more waiters? Raiders? I can't even speak anymore. Alright, gonna need more wood production as well. Maybe an extra sawmill too. Something I missed out on last time, but could be beneficial this time. Don't have enough materials to build this. No trouble. We're getting the materials online as quickly as we can. Slam a road out that way. There's 2 woodcutters. 1 on the timber. Alright, I'll make it 2. Make it so. Oh my god. Look at all those people carrying stuff. Oh, wow. Oh goodness, it's a really long walk. I'm not quite even sure where they're going. Where are you going? They're both eel pickers. They picked up some eels, and now they seem to just be walking them to the next one. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Either way, it's time to meet some more needs. Public service needs for waiters. I've got a market and bard building. So largely similar to what we had last time. Yes. Market building wants to be close to residences in order to meet their needs, and it will provide them money, so it really ought to be close to as many of them as possible. That'll do. Likewise, the Bard's health service, little smaller area of effect as we know, seems to work roughly the same as the other health building, and equally not working, the X's are above these. Okay. These guys have some different fashion by the looks. Tunics are the same, but some shoes have their own shoes, and they require reeds to be gathered. Tunics require hemp to be farmed. Okay. Reeds can, by the looks, also only be gathered out here by the marshland. Starting to regret not directly settling a little bit closer to that, but that'll do. Let's hook that up. Missing a soggy mire. Are you? I don't know if that's true. The shoe weaver provides happiness, so let's put it much closer to town. People love to be close to a shoe weaver. Likewise, probably the tunic spinner. Ooh, a little bit of money out of that. Okay, good. That can go in town. Hemp farm can probably go kind of on the hinterland. Yes. We'll fill in all of that, because that looks pretty cool. Well, you know, it looks alright. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's alright. Spinner looks to be just out of range of warehouse buildings. So too is that one. Alright. Your wish is my command. Here's another warehouse building right next door. And we'll just chuck that there as well, because there is no way that that can be missing a warehouse. Now, let's get a slightly quicker road coming through too. People are walking very long distances for almost no reason. In fact, let's go for maximum efficiency and just plow one through like that as well. Romanization is a unique tutorial. You can upgrade residences to follow the Roman cultural template, or instead allow local culture to develop. Each one will have its own needs. Right. We could mix and match them together, or focus on one or the other, and different characters will react in different ways. So we can appease the Emperor, or the Emperor's wife, the slightly more nefarious way. And the hillbilly over on the other island. Oh my goodness, I forgot the other island again. Get out there. Over to the actual upgrade itself. Ooh. Romano-Celtic. The Romano-Celts are focused on economy and research. Mercators and nobles live in larger cities. That'll be the more advanced population that, again, we can't play with in this build. On the Celtic side of things, Celts venerate local gods and nature. Smiths and aldermen live in small communities and gather the produce of wetlands. Very cool. Hand mirrors versus chariots. Boosted attribute belief or boosted attribute knowledge. I think I'll stick with core Celt. Forging ahead. Not going to do the voice acting for it though. Right, produce wattle and daubs. Let's have a look-see. So the level 2 population are smiths, not plebs. And, as you can imagine, resources have changed. We'll now farm these ox to get dairy. Okay. And then beer, we're going to need barley through a malt house, a brewery, and some of that charcoal. The same fuel source, essentially, that we used earlier. Oh, and of course, down here, actually next to the tiles, sticks and mud may build a hut, and rain will never hurt thee. I see what you did there. We're going to need a mud dryer, and then we can get a labourer's yard to do that. All right. The commentary is appreciated. So the mud dryer needs to also be built out in this. Oh, goodness. It actually puts a lot of pressure on the marshland. A lot of pressure, considering it doesn't really take up all that much. I suppose you go Roman or Celtic for another one. Maybe that makes it a little easier. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, either way. Chuck down a mud dryer out there. It seems to just be one that happens straight away, rather than the reed gatherer, which actually sort of works a bit more like a farm, right? So if I slot one down there even, you'll see that I have these soggy mire tiles that I can fill in. So we kind of block up a little bit of extra space, sort of cram it out like that, maybe just box that thing in. It makes the landscape look a little more full as well, which is nice. Cool. All right. Produce 3 wattle and daubs. Last thing I'll need is a labourer's yard. Seems to have no impact on really anything. So let's chuck it down there and get just a couple more of these residents dotted about down here as well. Of course, their needs won't be met very easily or readily because they don't have a marketplace. They don't have a lot of the stuff that the townies have. Speaking of the townies, let's chuck in a few extra. Thinking about what I need to build here and knowing what we know from earlier in this video, I know that I'm going to need to leave a space in the middle for some religious buildings, potentially some research buildings, but also I'm going to want to have a lot of houses. Let's see what we can get online. As I spend a brief moment going bankrupt incredibly quickly and exploring out here, I'm reminded that, of course, our starting island is actually just that, right? It's just the beginning. Now, the demo is very much just the beginning. So, actually figuring out, hey, there's a better island with a whole load of marsh, and it looks pretty cool, and I could build a big castle up here and then settle down here, is something that just isn't quite possible in this version. And that's, I guess, why I've been ignoring the exploration. If it were up to me, I would probably not have a 1 hour real life time limit on this game, because in my view, it's a game that honestly requires like at least 3 hours to just start to get your head around things. And sure, you can start again and do things a little bit faster, but that essentially just makes it like some strange speedrunning demo where you're sort of trying to burst your way through as many houses as you can to get to that next marsh island or whatever it may be. And I think that there's a lot of beauty actually hidden in the detail here. Once I got it sorted on 4K resolution, I had some issues. It defaulted to 1440p, I couldn't change it in the settings. If you run into the same thing, what worked for me was changing the resolution of my monitor in Windows settings. I lowered it and then raised it and then started up the game again and it picked it up. So yeah, there you go. Little tip for nobody who asked for literally no tips. All right. Alright, I'm cooking with gas now. I've set up a few vital city production buildings. I've got my villa here as well. My villa? Sure. Let me place it down. I like to be a little further away from everybody. Just, you know, slightly. Maybe out in the wilderness just a little bit because people are strange. So let's get a triple road, speaking of people being strange. Because obviously this is the place to be, and the road needs to really reflect that. As you can see, I'm just building away, just trying to make as much progress as possible. The second tier dudes need their the Celtically influenced buildings. This one gives happiness, health, and prestige, and this one gives 2 belief and 1 knowledge. The Phantom. Okay, well, this area is basically set up perfectly to house this stuff. So let's go 1, 2, and get our religious buildings and our research buildings effectively. They're equivalent online here. What are they doing? What are these people doing? It's most unusual. Okay, moving through into nighttime, about halfway through my overall time. Apologies if this bit's a little difficult to see, but I'm just placing a few extra houses down. I don't want to upgrade these guys at all. I've tried to expand my production of mud, because mud makes tiles with a little bit of charcoal, and then I'll just get the core stuff up and running. Open the construction tab. Your villa is here. My villa is here. Ooh, okay, so with the villa online here, I'm getting a look at a specialist. Guest houses, militia-wise, let's do one of each. Specialist slot, we have Brutus Julius Lupus, the Pollux of Polites, and he has that ability from that event where I wanted to do the coin flip. I see. So we've kind of decided to recruit him to our royal court, if you will, and now we've assigned him as one of our specialists. He's a rare. That's an interesting approach. I wonder how the full game will approach that in terms of replayability, because you could get actually quite a lot of interesting stuff. Huh. Quite a lot of interesting stuff. Okay. A little bit more exploring. I've met someone else. A mixture by the looks. I see some Roman, I see some Celtic, some mining action going on in the background, and something with a big old star on it. There are some contracts available. Let me go and have a look at that. I've just been on playing fastest this whole time. She's my rival. I shall extend a polite greeting. Hello, rival. And we'll hail the Emperor jovially for a measly +1. He appreciates the words. The Emperor loves a bit of flattery. Collect 2 crates. Collect 3 crates. 4 tons of timber. 700 bucks. Interesting. Little missions I can carry out. Huh. I don't really have time for that right now. Sadly. Okay, with these glorious sights on for religious jumping up and down and some research here too, I can see that I've unlocked my patron. I've also got a trade route that I made that I do not need to have. Sorry. Alright, so, on the religious front, do I have access to anyone by default that I didn't have before? No. I need to discover cults, research them first. So I do have to just begin with the basics. Maybe we lean in more God of the Sea this time, just for fun? Sure. So this dude, old Neptune face, has a Shrine of Neptune, which will improve fire safety and income. I've given up population prestige, population health. We'll widen the angle at which ship sails benefit from the wind globally, and ships will be faster. Huh, okay. And then these must be, I'm guessing, my ones, right? Yes. 250. Required devotion. Okay, I think I can do that. What am I on? 24 minutes. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot of space left around this. Some of it isn't particularly buildable though. I believe this game, compared to the old Anno, has buildability angles, that's right, it's a thing, that are like twice as good. 12 degrees to 24. I'm talking elevation. Gradient. That, however, is still far too steep. It's a little steeper than 24. And as you can see, it's just kind of cut me off. Completely cut me off in and around the mountain deposit. Nowhere up there actually is buildable by the looks. Too rough, too steep. But I can get in and around it. Okay. What I really want to get in and around, though, is this thing with a whole load more houses. I'll try for some kind of semblance of symmetry, even though my research buildings are largely just plopped in the middle of everything. If I can place a road here, and then go residences, and kind of start to grow them out like this. Alright. I've continued to grow and expand. More people just flooding in. This is really the place to be. Got some military buildings that I wasn't able to build last time. Might as well plop that outside my residence, which I literally spent about 20 minutes just planting some trees and building some torches. And a disease has started. Neat. It's these sick people out here in the productive Heartland. Yes, we might need to build some weapons. Weapons, of course, also have their own supply chains, and here you can see it's all about the natural goods, right? So I'm going to need iron, we're going to need a furnace, and then a weaponsmith. And 2 of those things will be powered by the charcoal burners. We also have some actual defensive buildings. Let's take a look at what they look like. Okay, so they stretch out using the same sort of thing as the road buildings, same sort of thing as the aesthetic buildings, so like trees and hedges and little stone walls. But I'm guessing these are a little bit more costly. Yeah, I can see it's costing me a little bit of wood each time. I mean, that's not terrible though, is it? Get a little gate in. Unfortunately, this road is too wide. Looks like the gates just suit single ones at the minute. Ruins are being rebuilt. Alright, wooden towers. Yeah, seeing as combat isn't actually enabled in this mode, it's going to be a little tricky for me to truly take advantage of that. But if you're unfamiliar, Anno 117 is promised to have the best combat we've seen in a long time, or at least the most RTS-like combat that we've seen in a long time. They're talking about land combat being back and better than ever, naval combat, customizable ships with customizable ship skins, and all sorts of other things that shouldn't be 2 words put together in a sentence. But no, actual custom modular design, I think, is probably a better way of putting it. So combat should be interesting. Not required. You can turn it off. Of course, it's not on in this demo build, but maybe more important than it ever was before. Oy vey. Something really bad happened out here. The sickness. Look at it. Spooky. And a little bit low res. As a research technology improvement comes through, trading posts can now be upgraded so it can benefit from increased storage and extra loading ramps. What I was actually going to say was I was just playing around with this cosmetic tool, and I noticed as this army, absolute army, sort of waddles through town. I noticed that if I select this tool and select a building, I can change its skin. Of course, there are not any others, though I see there are some options that look like copy or maybe add another one. I see I can change the appearance from what are currently 1 of 4 possible layouts, possible aesthetic looks, and I can change the rotation manually here as well, if I'm unhappy with the way that houses are facing or what have you. I've just realized I've probably put that tower on the wrong side of the wall. It's now more of an offensive tower, but that's okay. I've also upgraded the trading post, if you were curious, because it was kind of interesting. It basically doubled everything here, so I should now be able to store twice as much. It also increased this, but to get the next one, I'm going to need more research, and you guessed it, it's probably going to be kind of tricky to get it this time. Yeah, probably kind of tricky. Okay, after many more upgrades to Celtic residences, I've got a few more things that were untouched last time. Firstly, a shipyard, which will need sails and ropes. Shipyard, you can probably guess where we're going to need to place that, and boy, it's kind of tight. Sails will need sheep, and then a sail maker, and rope needs a hemp farm and a rope maker. Okay, production-wise, the game loves to remind me we have this overview. I'd argue it's probably not the most intuitive screen to just kind of pick up in your first few hours, though it looks clean enough. Looks to me like we need more wood. And there are a couple of quite interesting looking goods down the bottom there, which reminds me, couple more upgrades right at the limits here of the plebs or the smiths. We have trousers. If a true Celt wears anything at all, it'll be a pair of pants, apparently, to keep out the sheep ticks and the chill, as well as some torques, a fashion symbol, 2 income. Holy cow. Copper mines and coal produce these wire twisters. Oh boy. I think the 2 wealth from them is probably going to be a massive way to save an economy. And so getting these online fairly quickly in the future is probably going to be a very good idea. Something like this. We've already got the charcoal. It's coming from really far away, but it's probably okay for this. Yeah, look, there we go. Get out there. And then the trousers should equally not be too hard to set up. They need sheep, weld, and then I thought that was hoister for a second. It's not, it's hosier. Okay, I think I can pretty easily fit most of that in here. Farming-wise, we don't want to encroach too much on the forested lands, so maybe out the back of my place. Absolutely not. Let's chuck it out here. And we'll get this weld crop up over top of these people who are protesting. What's your governor? Later. I'm a bit busy at the moment. There's about 1 million people. My workforce is low. We need more waiters. Quickly. Downside to upgrading everybody, I suppose, is that you run out of the basic bee archers. Get these guys in here too. Let's expand out the city even further. That's looking pretty good. As I spam out a whole load more of these waiters' residences here, and quite a strange pattern to extend this out, I've just sort of thought to myself, if you want to play this demo in particular, I think the best way to play is going to be to just spam out as many buildings as you can. Oh, upgrade of a fire. As I say this, there's also some sort of giant march happening in the center of town. Fire safety. Okay, fire safety, a little bit of an issue. But hear me out here. I think your best bet if you want to experience the demo fully, as I've only got 5 minutes left, is probably to just place a whole load of buildings, upgrade as many as you can without, say, going completely overboard. Maybe word to the wise, some fire buildings, also not a bad shout. We're going to get one out for these people too. I'm going to plop them all over the place actually. Which brings me to my ultimate point. I think the best way to experience this is going to be to just plop stuff all over the place. There are a few ways to make money, like loans, potentially research, but certainly by being bailed out. The ongoing festival will end. I could choose to spend $2,000 to keep it going, spend 25 of those, or it won't start. Festival happiness is going to be running long after the game continues. All right, let's just pay the price. My point is, the price can be paid fairly easily with these events, and you should be able to either bail yourself out thanks to those events, or directly reach out to someone like the Emperor, or I don't know, maybe one of your rivals. Okay, Emperor approval, not so hot, but one of your rivals. Take a loan, grab it. You're only playing for an hour. You might as well cash in on that free money. The same goes for all of the events. You should be able to make enough money that you can get through basically anything. Festival effects, ship production speed, fire safety, the prevention of outbreaks. Look at this. The people aren't rioting. They're celebrating. Glory. Sweet glory. I think you should just go hard. Place as many buildings as you can and then upgrade a whole load of them because you're going to need to get to, I think, about 200 potentially of these tier 2 residents to be able to experience everything from the shipbuilding to the extra technologies. The only thing, again, that will largely ring fence you will be time. In your first few playthroughs, it'll probably feel like you're totally lost, though. 1 hour is going to definitely feel like not enough time for the newer players among you, I guarantee you. Once you get the hang of it, though, you might be able to quickly spam out some stuff and potentially get a feel for most of what these first 2 population classes have to offer. The game doesn't release fully for another 2 months. The demo lasts for 2 weeks, so if you're watching this video on the day that it's released, you've got about 2 weeks to check this out, so you don't need to stress too much. And then the full release will happen, what would it be, about 6 weeks after that, in sort of early to mid-November. Oh man, the party doesn't stop. Look at these Celtic warriors. As I look at these next upgrades, I notice this one is actually rather complicated. These ceremonial shields provide 1 belief and 2 prestige, so they're a very good prestige gain. We've got charcoal already online. Copper mines can happen from many different spots around the map. We also need tin. So we need copper, tin, and charcoal. And that will produce a very gold-looking bronze. And then you combine that with a little bit of weld, and you've got yourself some shields, if you can build the shield beater. Cool. And I guess as we move through into the future chains, it's going to become much more advanced. There's a lot of Anno 117 that we just can't really touch in this build. Two limitations, of course, in play. There's the actual time, and then the physical limitation of not being able to go beyond the smiths, or whatever your tier 2 population is. I feel like maybe that one could have been enough. Maybe a more generous time of 2 or 3 hours could be a happy medium. Then again, it's a little bit rich to say, oh, let me play your game early, and then say, oh, you didn't let me play it enough, so maybe I'll keep my mouth shut and actually wrap up this video, because I notice I've only got 30 seconds left. There's probably not a point in really jumping into much else here. Religion didn't really achieve a lot. Change global patron. Ultimately, I'm going to be stuck with my followers, although I can get up to about 300. Otherwise, we built a fairly beautiful, if not slightly sick-looking, but completely Celtic land. There is, of course, a third option for that cultural blend, blending in the Romano-style architecture. But for now, my friends, thank you for watching this very long video that was initially meant to be a live stream, but I've got a little bit of a cold. Again, apologies. You've had to listen to my sick voice this whole video. Thank you for watching. If you'd like more Anno, I'd love to deliver some more, because even though this demo is relatively limited, it's a lot of fun. And it looks to me like if you can get through a few AI glitches, a few glitches in this version of the game, and we can actually reach into another population tier, or even another one after that, we should be in with a pretty solid Anno game here, once we get through those challenges. Anyway, I've talked enough today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being here in this gargantuan video. I'll see you next time.